Welcome to Films and Stuff with your hosts, Pete Mitchell and Ethan Hunt.
All right, Pete, we are back. Films and Stuff. It is time for Stream or Skip. You want to give listeners just a recap of what we're doing on this segment?
Yeah, absolutely, Ethan. So Stream or Skip, it's our new segment, which was previously known as Extra Credit. The idea is that Ethan has put together a list of 20 TV shows that he thinks I should watch, and I've done the same thing for Ethan. But
That's right.
Here's the twist. The twist is these are shows that neither of us would naturally want to watch. So some of these are sitcoms, some of these are romantic comedies, some of these are horror movies, some of these are animes. And so purposefully, these shows are probably relevant in the cultural zeitgeist, but things that normally we wouldn't watch. So they're out of our wheelhouse. And what this
trying to find some hidden gems here.
Exactly. So this forces us to not only find hidden gems, but also to leave our comfort zones. And then for us to then be able to give you a much more rounded experience of what we think is appropriate or not appropriate for when we, at the end of the year give our streaming score, our scores for each of the streaming platforms. Because if we're only ever going to watch shows that we like on each of the platforms, the scores for the platforms are going to be slightly biased towards that. So this gives you let's call it a wider sample size and a much more heterogeneous sample size than we would otherwise get.
Well done. Good explanation, Pete. So, without further ado, I think we've each already evaluated 3 shows. We've had 3 segments on this. I have had The Staircase on HBO Max, Outer Range on Amazon Prime, Shadow and Bone from Netflix.
That's right.
To be honest, mine's been pretty solid. And what have been your 3 prior to this?
So I had Night Flyers, I had Emily in Paris, and I had Blackbird. Now, for me, it's been slightly more of a miss. But having said that, Blackbird was such a good show that I, in fact, went on a limb and told Ethan he should go.
Yeah, I watched Blackbird.
Watch it.
And the same with Outer Range. I thought Outer Range was so good you watched Outer Range.
Exactly. So I think this is really good because, 9 out of 10 times I would have probably seen Blackbird on a list on Apple TV, and I would have certainly skipped it just based on the title, based on everything. It didn't look like it would be in my wheelhouse. I've seen it, and I'm really glad that I did.
I have to say, the title of this segment is Stream or Skip. And actually, our scores have really reflected that. We have had either very, very high scores or very low scores. Really, nothing has kind of come in that middle range.
That's
Let's
correct.
see if the streak continues. What did you have? Go for it.
All right. I had a show on Hulu called Candy.
Candy.
And as most of you will have remembered, I quipped that I hoped it was about some kind of food show. Unfortunately, it is the exact opposite. So I watched the first 2 episodes of Candy. From what I understand, and then I did a little bit of research and reading outside as well. This is yet another true crime genre dramatization.
Oh, so popular as a genre now,
very,
isn't it?
very popular. I think especially during the pandemic, it's the true crime genre is kind of blown up. Everybody and their mother wants to produce either a true crime podcast or a TV show or something or the other. And that's
Do you think it's spurring more crime?
God, I hope not. Because some of the people that you're seeing on these true crime shows are real idiots. So, in any case, Candy stars Jessica Biel and Pablo Schreiber.
Like it already.
And I can't remember the guy's name. The actor on Veep. I don't know if you watched Veep before.
I don't know who that is.
He's one of the comedic sidekicks. He plays Julia Louis-Dreyfus's assistant or aide in Veep as well. And I cannot remember his name in real life. But anyway, the 2 more famous of the names that so far I've seen are Pablo Schreiber and Jessica Biel. And so on paper, cast is very good. Oh, sorry, it's also got Melanie Liskey.
Oh, yeah. Some good names in
Great
here, actually.
Great names, actually. I'm a big fan of her. Melanie Linsky, that's what it is. And I'm a fan of Melanie Linsky. I really liked her. We last probably saw her in Don't Look Up. She played Leonardo's wife.
Oh, yeah.
But in any case,
very recognizable.
Incredibly. I think she's kind of like Judy Greer in the sense that a lot of people may not remember her name, but when you see her, you'll instantly recognize her as someone famous.
Yes.
So anyway, cast was very good. The set pieces, excellent. The show is based out of in Texas in the early 80s. I think actually 1980. So late 70s, early 80s. The kids are all there. They're all getting prepared to watch Star Wars together. So it's an era appropriate show like that, and the sets really certainly reflect it. So much linoleum.
Linoleum Formica.
That's right. And
shag carpet.
In the first 2 episodes, we learned that Jessica Biel is kind of like this perfect housewife who's got too much on her plate, like most American housewives of that era did. She's taking care of the family. She's got a church group. She's doing work for her husband. She's cooking dinner at home. She's doing everything she can to basically keep the house running, like what your stereotypical American housewife was meant to be doing back in that day. And there's a murder of a family friend. We don't know anything about it, but it turns out that she's the one who probably did it. Jessica Biel kind of snaps and does it. Yeah.
Were they friends or were they like assholes? Like what was the...
Oh no, so they're friends?
Like there's any motive?
The woman who gets murdered, Melanie Linsky, her daughter is actually staying over and doing a sleepover with Jessica Biel's kids. That's how close they are as a family.
All right.
Spoiler alert. This isn't anything spoilerish because obviously it's a true crime everyone would know, but spoiler alert, it turns out that Jessica Biel was having an affair with Melanie Linsky's husband.
With Pablo Schreiber.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So, all of these things kind of come out.
Oh, there's the motive.
There's potentially
there's the motive.
It's, there's a lot of things. So it's kind of similar to what you were telling me about with the staircase last week.
Yeah.
Which is, it's kind of a whodunit. Did she do it? Did she not do it? We're not 100% sure. This show kind of implies that she did, but then I did some reading offline. There was a trial. She was found not guilty. There was a lot of, let's say mystery around the entire thing.
Was there any in the staircase, there was it was introduced late, but there was a late alternative theory, First, there was no alternative theory. Then there was an alternative theory. Was there any alternative to Jessica Biel being the murderer in this case?
So I can't tell you that because I've only seen the first 2 episodes and I called it quits.
Oh, this is a skip.
Yeah. And for me, it's a skip for almost exactly the same reason that the staircase was a skip for you. Which is really hilarious because the show itself, very good quality, high production budget, relatively speaking. And obviously great actors all around. Everyone did a good job, don't get me wrong. But the genre, the way that these true crime stories are set out, it just doesn't do it for me. I almost think it would be better showing off as a 2-hour movie than it would as a 5-hour miniseries.
Do you think that these are shows? I mean, for me, they feel like a little bit like guilty pleasures in the sense that when I'm finished, I feel very empty saying, I didn't really want to turn it off, but now that I'm finished with it, what have I achieved? I didn't really learn anything. I didn't become more creative. I just kind of wasted some time watching a recreation of something I could have read on Wikipedia. And I feel like this is not meant for, like, you and I are single dudes generally watching this by ourselves. I feel like this is more for kind of like the married couple or the two roommates to watch on a week by week basis and argue about, or
and kind of like gossip with each other about it. And you know how like you can what's the word, it's like you're kind of shooting the shit about it, and you're throwing theories off of each other about it. That
like what we do,
like what we do, except that we're not roommates, we're not in a relationship like that, we're not in the same room. It's exactly that. And that's exactly
But here you know where it's going, right? I mean, for all these murders, you know where it's going, right?
Yeah.
Someone got murdered. That's like irrefutable.
Yes.
And it's just arguing about whether or not the evidence
stacks up, whether she did it, whether he did it, whether she fell down the staircase, that kind of thing.
But I was just going to say, all you're really doing is you're reiterating all of the things that are being made by the prosecution or the defense in court, right?
Yes.
You're not actually coming up with anything new. Whereas I feel like to defend us, when we talk about like For All Mankind or Blackbird or something else, we're talking about like alternatives that could have taken place. We're not just talking about factual stuff,
Yeah, I think of it like if we're going to use this courtroom drama or courtroom analogy, it would be like the equivalent of being on the jury, right? And you're just watching things unfold for you, laid out to you by the prosecutors and by the defendant.
Yeah.
Versus, being an investigative journalist or like an investigator yourself who's actually uncovering the motives or who's thinking about why this could have happened and for what possible reason, right? And if it did happen, where will it go next or what's, that kind of thing. And so in that regard, so you told me last week, would you watch The Staircase? I said, you know what? I think I will. But now having seen Candy, and now fully understanding what you meant about The Staircase, because I think this is exactly the same way I feel about Candy. That is to say, look, it's not for me because I'm sitting in London, I'm on my own. I can't really gab on this with anyone on a live basis. I can't hit pause, turn around, and tell my wife or girlfriend, hey, what do you think that's really true? Oh my God, she's washing her hands of blood. Do you think she did it? None of that kind of extra, experience of this show applies to me that would apply to a normal couple, for example, who's watching this. And certainly a couple that's interested in true crime. And that's why, for me, it's a skip. But I will give you exactly the same caveat that Ethan gave last week for The Staircase, which is to say, hey, if murder mysteries are your bag, if you have someone you want to watch this with, I really think you will enjoy this movie. And if you don't have Hulu, good news. Apparently, Elizabeth Olsen is reprising the same role in HBO Max, because HBO Max is also making their own miniseries on this true crime.
The exact same story.
Exact same story. Also about Candy Montgomery.
Huh.
So I think, and I guess this is where the problem with true crime kind of lies, is there aren't that many cases also which are very mysterious. There are certainly many crimes, but certainly none with this aura of mystery around them. And that's why, shows like The Staircase, maybe HBO was able to get the rights for it and locked it down, but clearly Hulu wasn't able to get the rights for the Candy Montgomery story, because now I guess HBO Max is doing it there as well.
Huh. Interesting. Do you want to hear my brainstorm on how we can rectify this? And actually, you have inspired me, because remember, some time ago, we talked about the Choose Your Own Adventure.
Yeah.
And you are the proud author of a Choose Your Own Adventure book.
That's right.
What if we would do this and we would let, the audience vote, and then the sequel is based on that vote, right? It's more fictitious.
We don't even need to do that, because you know what's funny? You know what's hilarious is Netflix has interactive movies already out.
Oh, really?
Oh, yeah. So, like Unbreakable Kimmy Schmidt, they made a movie.
Yeah.
And you can vote on screen. And it's kind of like a Choose Your Adventure. When you press, option A, a different scene plays out. If you press option B, a different scene plays out.
No way,
Yeah,
really?
they filmed the
no
movie.
idea.
They filmed the movie, and it's basically they made 2 movies in the same 1 hour run in the one runtime, and you get to manually choose what you want to see happen on screen.
Oh, I had no idea. Is Unbreakable Kimmy Schmidt the only one that does that?
I don't think it's the only one. It's the one I specifically remember because it was a sitcom I was watching at the time.
Brilliant. Okay.
So yes, but I'm with you. Even if you don't go with the interactive movie standard, and if you go with that, I'm with you because in principle, I agree with what you're saying. Is that inevitably there will be some form of interactivity with your movies. Yeah. Be it in the form of you get to decide how the sequel goes, be it in the form of you get to decide if there are any spin-offs, be it in the form of you get to determine how the movie goes during some form of interactivity is the way forward.
Correct. Totally agree. Okay, so we have a skip with a caveat for Hulu's Candy.
Indeed.
My assignment was a series called In From the Cold, and it's on Netflix, and it stars no one I've ever heard of before. The storyline is as follows. Exposed as an ex-Russian spy, an American single mom must juggle family life and unique shape-shifting skills in a battle against an insidious enemy. How's that for a summary?
Not bad, though, hey? So like a sleeper agent?
So I watched 2.5 episodes, and it is, as I said, it's a single American mom. She's got a daughter who's an ice skater, and she's going through a divorce from her American husband. And it turns out that, of course, it goes back to some experiment that the Russians were doing to create like these superhumans. And she was at one point like a spy. She was some type of like agent. And these experiments somehow malfunctioned. And instead of creating like these superhumans, they gave her this strange ability that whenever she touches someone, she can transform into that person. And the other person is like kind of there, but like they're basically taken over by her. And then she can kind of control them and do whatever she wants. And then she can hop out of their body and she goes back into herself. And then she goes through like this phase of like one day where she's extraordinarily hungry, extraordinarily tired. She's just like physically exhausted from this process. So she escaped from this program where she was like some type of assassin or something. It doesn't go into huge detail so far. And she just escaped to the US. She got married. She raised a daughter. Now the daughter's a teenager. She's going through a divorce. And somehow the CIA has tracked her down and knows that she's the last person from this Russian program. And of course, they blackmail her and say, either we're going to arrest you and you'll never see your daughter again because you used to be an assassin, or you can come work for us and we'll give you all these missions, right? And the missions, of course, always involve stealing information or killing someone and so forth. So she has to balance not drawing attention to herself when she leaves at night and carries out these missions. Her daughter's wondering where she is, why she's acting strange, why she cut her hair, why she's dressed like this, blah, blah, blah. Quite a balancing act, to be honest. And I stopped after 2.5 episodes. It is a skip. And that's a little bit disappointing because there's some elements of this which are not so bad. The lead actress, whose name is Margarita Leviva, maybe butchering that last name, apparently is Russian national, and she was previously a gymnast, and she is very badass in terms of the fight sequences. You know, she's very physical. She can do a lot of punching. quite solid, actually. She does a pretty good job, I have to say. She fills the role extremely well in the sense that she can definitely play the mom. She can definitely play the agent. But the overall plot just seems a little bit too... There's something off about it, you know? Like the fact that they're introducing all this daughter drama, I think is complicated. Like they're naturally putting her in all these compromising positions where she's always got to lie about her whereabouts and cover herself. If I were to guess, I would assume that the daughter somehow has the same ability and they'll end up working together. I mean, that just seems kind of how these things go. The daughter's obviously eventually going to find out, but the whole thing is just not really that interesting to me. You know, the superpower seems particularly like fictional, and it's just really not, I don't know, there's something wrong with the whole thing. I'm really sorry to say, even though the summary is not bad and there's something to the plot. But to be honest, the way that they've put it together is just a little bit much for me. So I've given this a skip, and I can't really recommend it, although I imagine that by the end of the first episode or the end of the first season, there will be some reasonable intrigue. The action and fight scenes are pretty decent. Like I said, the lead actress actually plays the role extremely well, but it's a skip in my book, I'm sorry to say.
Is this procedural? Like every week or every episode it's something different? Or is it like a long format story, like single story that goes over many episodes?
So it seems to be kind of a mixture of both. It seems to be that there's a new mission every episode. Again, I only watched 2.5. So there's a new episode, or there's a new, mission in each of the second and third episodes. But there's obviously like a ongoing storyline, which is primarily centered around the daughter and primarily centered around flashbacks of the main character, who it seems they're teasing that her original handler may still be alive. And I would expect that either her handler is going to reach out to her or she's going to have to kill her handler, right? I mean, they're kind of like setting it up for something. And that's why I feel like there's going to be like a decent level of intrigue as this goes on. But again, it's something with the filming or the settings. It just, how things just don't seem right. Remember when we talked about Halo and we were so frustrated that Halo was always filmed in like these big empty kind of cement rooms? Mm-hmm. They have something similar with all their kind of like office rooms and hotel rooms. They all seem like off. It seems like they're either like constructed as sets or they've kind of like used very cheap, I guess, locations. Like they just don't really seem like hotelish rooms or, the places that these people really would be. There's just kind of something off about the entire thing, I have to say. So it's a skip, but I have to say I got through 2.5 episodes. After midway through the third episode, I was just kind of like, I'm really not getting anything out of this. So it's time to move on.
No, well, that's a shame because, when you read out that description about her...
The description's not bad.
Yeah, but I didn't think that you meant shape-shifting literally. I thought shape-shifting because she's a spy, so she can kind of get through to whatever, but no. So there is like a superpowered element to this?
There is a superpower
That's weird. To this. So yeah, I mean, for a show that would otherwise ostensibly sound very grounded, it clearly isn't, right?
Yeah, I think they had to add that.
Just to separate
just
themselves.
Because, yeah, I think it's kind of tough to say, hey, this is going to be about the suburban mom. She used to be the Russian assassin. And now the CIA finds her and they're going to put her back to work, And I have to say, that kind of show also, you know my feeling about like the one-man army.
Yeah.
It's going to be super annoying that she's going to be this amazing assassin right away, even though she's spent the last let's say she's got a 16-year-old daughter. The last 16 years,
Out
not
of the
lifting
game.
weights, not working out, not fighting on a daily basis. You know, like your skills get a little bit rusty, I assume, after 16 years. You could still be in like good shape, you know, and be doing like some cardio and stuff, but like you're not in assassin fighting shape, right? So then when they have this person like go through, you know, a whole office building of bad guys and, you know, kick all their asses, you know, that turns me off right away. It's like, come on. Not only is this person not in the prime of their career, but like no one is so dramatically better at fighting and shooting and all this other stuff, you know, that they can just kind of go through so many people easily.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So that's my feeling on In From the Cold. It is a skip. And Candy was a skip. So this week's streamer skip has 2 skips, but silver lining, we save people time watching these 2 things that they may not have liked.
That's the goal.
And next week, we may find some good ones.
That's right. In fact,
do we have to roll our virtual dice?
I was just about to say, why don't
I am really hoping that I get.
You got number 13, Mayor of Kingstown.
Oh, not bad. I can get into that. All right.
And I got number 5, The Dropout.
Oh. Having watched 1 episode of The Dropout, I'm excited for you to watch it.
I have no idea what it's about at all. I don't even know what the subject matter is, but I'm in.
It is about Elizabeth Holmes and Theranos.
Oh, wait a minute. I think I've already seen this show.
Really?
Oh, wait a minute. Unless there's other shows that's on there, I think I've already seen this, in which case I have to... Yep, I have seen this. So I'm gonna roll again.
Roll again.
I didn't even realize.
Honest.
Visitors on HBO Max.
Oh, I have no idea what that's about. I assume it's space. May not be.
Awesome. So that I'm looking forward to seeing. Visitors on HBO Max. I will be watching that, and Ethan will be watching Mayor of Kingstown on Paramount Plus.
I'm excited for that.
All right. Thanks, everyone.
Thanks, everyone. Have a great day.
Thank you for listening to another episode of Films and Stuff. If you haven't already, please subscribe and review on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or wherever podcasts are downloaded. Films and Stuff. There is no substitute.